Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to what is Toga Motorsports World Tour on a Friday, which is an odd day for me to be commentating on because I don't usually commentate on Fridays. Alongside with me, as usual for the World Tour, is Barry. Hello, Barry.
Hello, how's it going? That's another fun Friday evening at the World Tour. I
Yeah,
think this is I've done 3 of these 4 rounds so far.
God, you've done more than me.
Yeah, well, I think that this was the main availability I had for the last couple of weeks. So
it's
just
it's
start.
not the worst league though.
No, it's been really enjoyable so far. The last couple of races have been very exciting.
So we
So
do go straight into qualifying now, as we do see only 24 minutes left to go. We were overriding on qualifying just a tiny bit. Do you see now? Currently in P1, it's going to be Faulkner. Faulkner with a 154.3 in the Ferrari 296, number 67 car. Followed then is going to be Callum Jones in the Toga Bentley, which doesn't seem to have a livery here today, unfortunately, with a 154.747 as well. Dan rounding out the top three is going to be Leon Cupizel in the ST Racing BMW M4, number 179. Taking your top three at the moment, but has changed once again. It's now Ramonet now taking pole position with a 153.962 with the 7 Ferrari 296 there.
yeah, Axel Ramune is currently leading the World Tour as well. Faulkner is hot on his heels in P5 as well. So this is going to be a spicy qualifying this one.
You know more
Them
than
two
me,
guys
which is
are
good.
them two guys are very evenly matched from what I've seen. Um, I think at Brands Hatch they were right behind each other the entire race, and I think it was Faulkner had a one mistake that cost him.
At the end of
Um,
now going into Sector 1, going into Sector 2, do you actually see they're both improving? But it does seem now Faulkner is improving just a bit more with 3.5 tenths up on his personal best lap time compared to what we see now. Romanet actually overtaking him in personal best delta now with 3 tenths, so might be able to increase his gap just a little bit to try and save his pole position provisionally so far.
yeah, they're both. Faulkner's maybe lost a little bit of time there. Oh, he's actually gained it all back. He's now 4 tenths up, coming out of the Dunlop curve down at the bottom of the track. Coming through the mighty Schumacher S. Still about just over 3 tenths up. Ramune's he's coming up to turn 14, 4 tenths up actually. Now he's gaining time. Very, very good. Very quick driver's going to be pushing 153.5 at the end of this. Maybe a
Going up
153.4 if
to
he
a
gets
second
this.
now. He might be actually going into 52s now, unless this is not a valid lap as we go across the start finish straight. Now he goes across the line with 153.067, so just barely out of touch with those 52 so far. We do see Faulkner as well now coming through the final corner. 5 tenths to his name so far going through the final corner, going on to start finish straight. Actually gains a significant amount of time going on to the final corner, and he does come across the start finish straight. It's not going to be enough to take pole position, decreasing the gap down to 4.5 tenths roughly with a 153.497. We do see a few people in chat now. Good evening to you, Casper, and then Rabbit Rapids, what a name, chanting on the 420 car.
420 car of, I believe that is
That's Wilson.
Wilson, and he's actually set nearly 7 tenths up on his lap currently. Coming up to the last couple of corners. This is the trickiest corner in my opinion in the Nurburgring. Uh, you missed the braking zone even slightly, and that corner will bite.
Nearly saw Lucas
Let me.
actually doing that as an example there.
Yeah, he's 1.8 seconds, 1.9 seconds up on his lap. This is going to be a massive improvement coming across the line. This is going to bring him into up to sixth with a 55.01. That's an excellent lap by Luke Wilson, I believe it is.
As well as
Yeah, it is Luke Wilson.
As well as that, we do see Paul Wallace as well in that BMW M4 with the Motorsports livery now coming through that same chicane as we just saw Luke Wilson do. Now, it's a very, very difficult chicane, very dangerous to do, but you can gain so much time if you get it right. Now, going through the final corner, nearly a second up on his first best delta. Could breach himself down into the 56 if he's able to keep it valid. He does seem to go quite wide there going into the final corner. Going to cross the start finish line to put himself up into P21, so not much of an improvement there for him, unfortunately. But he is still going to have enough time to at least set a good few more laps, to say the least.
Yeah, Kieran Macy in the Porsche 626 is a second up on his lap currently. He's about to hit the chicane. He's my personal favorite car in the game, the Porsche 992 with that awesome Golf livery. Not quite as good as the one I've got, my if I do say so myself, but you know, it's the Golf livery is just amazing in general. 1.25 seconds up now, coming out of that final corner. That's going to put him up into P18 into the 56.2 seconds. Still quite a ways off pole, but that's still a solid lap overall.
For some reason, it does seem that some of the liveries haven't been able to sync for me. A few of them have, but I'm not sure what's happening with Awesome. This has happened for quite a few of them now. I thought I got it sorted, because I did actually speak to the owner of Awesome, and we did get it sorted, but I'm not sure why it's happening again. So I apologize if your livery is not present in today's broadcast, but hopefully when it comes to replays tomorrow, they will be present. As I Sal pointing out my rookie mistake, I always forget to put the game sound on. It's literally right in front of me on my stream deck, and I just still completely forget to put it on. I'm sorry about that, but game sound is now present.
It happens. At least it's all sorted now.
Come through.
What we love to see.
Raphael, Tartari is well going through the final corner, going on to start finish straight, goes up into P19 from P24 with 156.262. That is going to be provisional. P19 almost being able to round up to P15. Probably a good goal for him today if he's able to do that. We still have 18 minutes left of qualifying. I'm not sure if my mic audio just went, but
no, you're all good to me still.
okay, cool.
Down in P9, Cubizel in that ST Racing BM with the awesome livery is 6.5 tenths up on his time. That's going to bring him up a few places across the line. He's up on P6 now. Still quite a gap to P1 though. That lap by Ramune is a barnstormer of a lap with a 153.0. It's going to be really tough to beat.
So that's that. There doesn't seem to be too many more people actually improving, but we do see it's going to be Robert Everett in that. Is that Acid? Yeah, Acid Inc. Ferrari 296 now coming through the final few corners of Sector 1 now. The most complicated sector in this track. Does seem he's still being able to maintain about 2.5 tenths on his Budapest Delta. Going through now the final straight before going into Sector 2 for the Dunlop curve.
Yeah, not surprising. We're seeing a Mustang in the on this track. Lewis Robinson in the Ford Performance Mustang is 4 tenths up on his lap currently, going through the Coca-Cola curve, final corner. Cool name, if I do say so.
It's a lovely name.
Yeah, he's now promoted into the top 10 now with that lap. That's really good from the Ford, especially with the car being so new.
It's new, and it's also quite unreliable because it doesn't seem he's going to have much of a developed setup. Because when did the Mustang come out again? Was it?
It was Tuesday, I think it was.
So still enough time, but obviously we're not going to be able to see any. I don't think Coach Dave made any setups just yet. But I know, actually, no, Coach Dave were making them because David Perel actually worked on the car. But I'm not sure Hino and those other setups do have one just yet.
Yeah, the only problem is even with like setups being made, they'll still be very premature setups. So they do take time to get the setups down right. So there will still be quite there'll be a lot of time to find in that Ford over the coming days and weeks whenever the setups will start to become a little more fine tuned, based on everyone just getting used to it.
So we do see Charlie Thornton in chat, sorry to interrupt there, saying even and Alex and Barry R. I don't know why he keeps calling you Barry R, but I do apologise.
I'm assuming he's talking about Super GT on YouTube. Correct me if I'm wrong now, because he always whenever someone crashes, he calls it Barry R, and I've just associated the two, so I'm going to assume that's what he's. Yep, he's just said Barry R in the chat again.
So also support Belgium.
I think I may be right on that.
Shadow Realm next. It does seem Grant was able to put himself up into the top 3 during the Super GT conversation. He was able to do what seemed to be a 153.695, but he is improving very marginally at the moment. Still in the green delta, but might be able to improve it going into sector 2 and 3. As well as going further down, we do see what is going to be Bataglin, a driver we haven't seen here today. that I thought there was a lot of damage to the front of his car there, but it's just how the livery is made. As it does seem he's going to pull off and decide they're going into the barrier. So I'm not sure his team's going to be very happy with that, as well as Matthew Feltham now in the Simtech Racing McLaren 720S Evo. Now going across the line, it is going to be him going into P7, overtaking the 420 of Luke Wilson. Charlie not happy that he's not in pole, but hey ho.
A bit further down the grid, Toga Racing Zone Peter Romeo is down at P19, but he's half a second up on his lap currently in that really awesome bright green Aston Martin. Sorry, forgot how to English there for a moment. No, I love that green livery.
If you look closely,
green is my favorite color. So
if you look closely to the back of the wing, you do see some sort of surprise that I don't think Hayden wants me to disclose.
I think I noticed this. I noticed this last week, and I didn't say anything at the time because I was like, What is this?" I just chose to ignore it. But it's very funny.
Bartek Radegwix, I actually recognise your name. I believe you're in FRL yesterday. Saying GT3 Sprint's going to be my first Toga Championship. Welcome on into Toga. You will not be disappointed in their championships, to say the least, as well. Now, Ethan Faulkner once again in P2. Improving just by a tenth so far, can decrease his gap between him and the leader quite significantly at the moment, but he does seem to be losing a tiny bit of time going into Sector 3 now before the lethal chicane. Does seem to take it all right though, going through the final corner, but he is still losing time. In fact, he loses all of his time. Can he make it back on entrance and exit of the final corner? He does, but it's going to be very marginal, and in fact, he's not going to be able to carry much time going through to the final corner there, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think he got quite the run out of the final chicane there that he'd hoped for, and he just started bleeding the rest of the delta he was up. The gap is quite significant compared to the last couple of weeks. The gap to pole was very, very, very small the last couple of races, so I mean, I'm still expecting a few of these drivers to put in some really, really good laps towards the end of qualifying.
As well as that, we do see Mac in chat. Welcome on, Mac. Good to see you. And yeah, you got P3 in the intermediate A class. Yeah, I did see that. And everyone was complaining about a certain driver yesterday, and it was quite hilarious. But good to see you joining into Toga as well. So there's Rabbit Rapid. Oh my god, that's going to be something. That's going to be a nightmare for me to say. I'm suspecting QNOS updated their bop on this track, and the custom bop on the top is making things weird. I believe so, as you can actually see if you look closely onto the leaderboard from pole position. 4 attempts there, but even if you go and look closer into the midfield, they're still quite far apart of each other.
Yeah, not too much Ferrari dominance. The Bentleys are really keeping up, as they have been doing for the most every race this tournament so far, which is really cool to see. As looking in P8, Luke Wilson in the 420 McLaren is 3/10 up on his lap currently. He is coming up, heading down the back straight towards the last chicane as well. This will put him into P7. If he can find a bit more time, he'll be right on top of P6 as well. Was really hoping I didn't give him commentator's curse there, but it's I did. I said the second I said it, I'm sorry. Look, you were on a good lap there. The time is there for him. If he can hook it all together, he's going to be up there with the top 6 for sure.
He's definitely got potentially even for the top 5, top 3, as you were just mentioning, top 6. But at the moment, it doesn't seem he's been able to keep it valid, as we did just. Fortunately, see you commentators curse it, as well as we do see Belgium Racing Team's very own Stefan Fies now going through now into, well, just coming off the Schumacher curves, Schumacher S's now before entering the final few corners. Is in that BMW M4. It does seem, as I'm going to say once again, it does seem there's been some sort of livery corruption. This Awesome Sim Racing is not liking me at the moment, so I do apologize if liveries aren't present in today's. A few of them are, so I'm assuming there might have been some sort of corruption halfway through the sync. I did sync them twice tonight, but it didn't seem to work. But now we do go back on board with it. As BRT's Stefan Fies is going through the final corner. 1.5 tenths up, but loses it on the exit there. Unfortunately, it's going to be racing to the line to actually keep a green delta. It's not going to work for him. He has still 10 minutes to actually try set another valid lap as well. What we do see once again, Luke Wilson improving again, what seems to be going in to Schumacher S is just coming out of actually 3:10 up on his best lap time. That's, oh my days, it is boiling in my room. Oh.
Yeah, I'm debating turning the fan on in a moment. As we see, Kieran Macy in the Porsche once again. He's currently up on his personal best. He lost a tenth there coming out of that, heading towards the lap curve, but he's picking up that time. He's about 2 tenths up. Actually, never mind. Our commentator. Oh, I was going to say our commentator's cursing it again, but he's just found 3 tenths. So maybe not for once, which is good. I'd love to see that Porsche a bit further up the field because I'm a little bit biased to.
So what we did just see as well, Luke Wilson being able to actually set a new fastest lap for himself with now a 154.265, putting himself up into the top 6, just as you predicted there. So we do see Rabbit. I'm just going to call you Rabbit if that's okay, because me and Dyslexia is not going to have a good time saying that name. Saying you made him Sleet, and then Charlie saying Finley in P11. I think he's changed again. I can't see him. Yeah, no, he's still in P11. And then Cell as well saying, yeah, we should run a new livery in the BRT BMW because it's not showing. Yeah, sorry about that. That's my fault. Call me Rabbit. Cheers. That's going to make it so much easier for me.
Yeah, as we look on to sticking with Wilson again, he's 3 tenths up currently coming out of Sector 1 on the way down to Dunlop, so there's still time for him to find if he can make this stick. He could put himself in the top 4, like you mentioned, going even further, even higher than I predicted. So he just needs to keep this lap valid now, and he's on for top 4. Not quite for top 3. There's nearly 7 tenths to find there to get that far, but it's not out of the realms of possibility, of course. As he's now finding even more time, so that McLaren on a flyer at the moment.
Still is now 5 tenths up, going into the back straight, as you could call it, going through the kink. Now 4.5 tenths. He might be able to gain it once again, going through this lethal chicane. He has been able to do it before, but can he do it right? It does seem to get a bit of understeer, going a lot on that inside sausage kit, but he's still being able to preserve his lap time. Now going through the final corner, actually gains about a 10.5 there, going up into the 6/10 boundaries. Now going to start finish straight, putting himself up into P4, and actually now only 2 tenths now between P3 and P4, so he might be able to get into the top 3 with only 7 minutes left to go.
Yeah, that was a great lap by Luke there. I don't know if you're finding the same, but a couple of my deltas are broken on race control, so I can't actually tell who a couple of guys are improving or not.
What's it saying? Is it like minus 0.000?
It's saying the delta is plus 32.767.
Oh yeah, I've got the same thing. That's because they're on that outlap. Oh my days!
I've got it for 5, 6, 7 drivers. I'm hoping it'll fix itself. Yeah, it should do.
It's now Peter, no, nearly 8 tenths up, going through the Schumacher S's. Might be able to actually put himself predicting in the top 14. Now in that Toga Racing livery.
With that, if you're stuck behind the back wing of that Aston Martin, you'll get some eyes staring at you. I wonder, is that a tactic to put people off?
It's intimidation.
Intimidation tactics. Finley O'Reilly is also now, he's 2 tenths up on his lap currently, coming up towards Dunlop again. He's lost a little bit of time coming out of the curve there, but he's still up on his lap. If he can put together a solid lap here, he can put himself squarely in the top 10, in with the BMW, so the BRT of FaZe and Bataclan. If he can keep this one going well, he's losing a little bit of time though, so he might not be able to get it this time round. But it looks like the lap time is there, so he just needs to hook a good one together, and he could be well in the top 10.
So I was saying, don't worry, guys. F1 also goes more black to the car, making it lighter. Oh yeah, weight saving, shedding that 300 grams of paint that would have been on the car. It's strategy. I see what you guys are doing. So it's now Peter Romeo going through once again, improving. I'm not sure if he had a valid lap last lap, as he's again 5/10 up, finding all lap time around, going through turn 1 to 5. They're now going through into sector 2, into the Dunlop curve. Number 74 Aston Martin V8. It's not a Vantage, is it? No, it's just an Aston Martin V8 GT3, I think, is it?
I think it's just a V8. I don't think it's the Vantage one, no. The new one isn't. I think the new Aston Martin might be the Vantage version. I'm not 100% sure.
One thing I found, though, is when I was watching Zeta's stream the other day, and you won't get this with me because I don't know much about the engine liters and stuff of it. In fact, I'm quite stupid when it comes to that. Well, I saw her saying, I think it's what, 5.2 litre naturally aspirated V8?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I'm learning.
Yeah, the sound of the Aston is, it's gorgeous.
The V12 is better.
The V12 is better, but I'll take the V8. It's the one I have access to in ACC. I'll take it.
Yeah. Peter now going through the final corner again, 4/10 up in this best lap time will put him into the 55. He comes across the line now to go up into P15, 155.877. And then Charlie roasting me saying I don't learn in school. So cheers for that, Charlie. Appreciate it.
Don't worry, I'll try to educate him, Charlie.
What's this about?
I'm only joking. I don't know that much. I know little bits and pieces that I've picked up over the years, but
37 degrees in my room now. Oh god.
Yeah, I need to turn my fan on shortly. It's absolutely boiling.
So it's only May.
I know.
Don't need to mention that, Charlie, please.
Oh, yeah. It's a little bit of an interesting one, that one.
Yeah, we'll get into it later. Or maybe we don't, I'm not sure.
Well, and we're going back to Kieran Macy in the K4 Porsche, the Gulf livery. He's 3/10 up, going through Coca-Cola curve. He's actually gained a little bit of time, it's like 3.5 That's going to put him up to maybe ahead of Peter Romeo. Yeah, he's just pipped him for P15. Peter will be eager to get that P15 back, and actually higher than that, I would imagine. As we see, Hayden Sweet he's in the lobby. He's 2/10 up in his lap currently, coming through the kink in the back straight, and that took a BMW, but it's pure white, so I don't know if that's a livery glitch as well.
I'm glad it's not just me seeing that as he spins.
Oh, and I've commentator cursed Hayden. Oh no. Don't tell him I said anything.
Yeah, we'll move on swiftly, as we do see now Callum Jones as well in that Toga Bentley livery. Well, it's not really livery, to be honest. It is just an in-game livery for me, unfortunately. Going through takes a lot of the inside apex, so that's something you can do with the front engine carrots. We do see that is going to be another Bentley spinning, so I'm not sure what's happening here. Everyone does seem to be spinning. It is a hot track, to be fair, but it's not really that hot. You can survive on it, as well as George Stevens, who did his podcast today, so you can go and check that out on the Toga channel, linked below.
Yeah, a very interesting episode. I listened to some of it when I was back from the gym there this evening. It's pretty good. Things we love to see. Who is on a flyer at the moment? Pateron in the BMW for Pigeon Racing. That's an interesting team name.
It's a lovely one.
He was a 10.5 up, but he's now lost some of that. I wonder if that's because he's stuck in traffic of the McLaren ahead of him. Potentially. Roy Blues in the Simtech Ferrari. That's a cool livery. Very cool. 2/10 up currently in his lap. If he can hold this together, that'll put him right in the top 6 fight. Potentially P5 with Leon Kubicel in that BMW. He's in the pits at the moment. I imagine he won't have time actually to come out and do another lap, so that's his qualifying finished. As well, Callum Jones. Sorry, I just spoke over you. Go on ahead.
That was fine. Finny O'Reilly now coming through. What is the Schumacher S? Is again 2.5 up. Is he able to actually keep this lap time? This time he could potentially go into the 54, so actually gain up into P8 if he's able to do so. now going into the 4/10 boundaries of his personal best lap time. Now going on to the back straight before the kink. We do see there is that BMW that we did see earlier behind him. Hopefully that isn't going to cause any sort of pressure. But Fenny now going through the lethal curve. I'm not sure what this actually is called. I'm just going to name it with that. He does take too much of the sausage curve in the inside there. That does unsettle his car quite a lot. And that is going to be him losing practically all of his lap time going through the final corner there. You can see a tiny bit of an overseer moment there as we do see, I presume that's Hayden on the Toga account saying hi. Good to see you, Hayden. And Barry totally did not commentators curse you.
We weren't supposed to tell him that.
Oh yeah, sorry. Where's the NDA?
As we see, the sole Lamborghini in the race, Tartari, is 4/10 up on his lap at the moment. He's doing well. He's actually lost a 10th through the arena section, but I'm sure he'll pull some of that back. Interesting fact, the chicane at the end that you couldn't remember the name of, I just checked. The name is Vidal. I don't know if I said that correctly. Just trying to remember track corner names is difficult. But back onto the action. The Lambo is 3.5 tenths up coming down to Dunlop, which is a very tricky corner. You have to trail brake right through it to get the speed. And he's done that perfectly. He's picked up 3 tenths on that corner alone. Had a little bit of an oversteer moment on the exit there, lighting up the rear tires, which will not be helpful in this heat. Tires will be screaming at him now, as he's actually lost a lot of time there. I think he's just, the tires may be overheating, causing him to slide around a little bit. Looking a bit further up the field, Dunkler walk. Sorry, I'm going to butcher that, and I apologize in advance for BRT. Is 3/10 up in his lap, coming up into Vidal, the chicane. Gets through it pretty nicely, still 3/10 up, losing a little bit of time coming to Coca-Cola. Holding it nicely, hopefully gets a good exit here, and he has done. He's going to get more than 3/10 up, 3.5 tenths nearly now. Puts him into P12, not quite in the top 10, but I'm sure he'll be happy with that.
Place himself just after the Ford there. So the Ford actually the only car, well, the only Ford here, which, is it a surprise really? Are you surprised you don't see that many Fords here today? Or
I am kind of not surprised as much because I don't know if this championship is the same, but if you change car, I know in SimGrid a lot, you know, it messes with your championship standings, so I'm assuming people are reluctant to change, but I'm not surprised to see at least one. You know, I assume there would be one or two because everyone is, you know, piling on top of the Ford hype at the moment. Which is valid, of course. It's a cool car. It's not my favorite to drive at the moment. Yeah, of course, yeah. It's just not my favorite to drive at the moment. Maybe with some cell tweaking and stuff, it will be a bit nicer. Especially whenever it just wants to oversteer all the time on you for no reason.
I've spoken to about 6 or 7 people about the Ford now, and everyone says it's quite understeery for them. So maybe you're the lucky charm.
It is understeery as well, so it's kind of strange. It's a bit bipolar in that regard, where whenever you're entering a corner, it tends to want to understeer, and especially if you're in first gear, because it seems that it's pulling a lot of torque in first gear for some reason. Maybe that's just the way the actual car works. I'm not sure. But if you stamp the throttle in first gear coming out of a corner, you will get a lot of oversteer. So what I found, the only way to deal with that is to short shift in the second out of the corners.
That's what we will.
Just so you're not spinning them wheels out of the corners and losing a ton of time.
What we will do quickly is go on for a little bit of a track walk before the race starts. We do see there's going to be Ramanant in P1, followed by Falkenher there. The 2 Ferraris taking pole and second place there, followed by Williamot, who is in that Bentley. So it's good to see the Bentley actually making a comeback once again, followed then by the 420 of Lucas Wilson. I'm not sure his name's actually Lucas. I think it is just Luke. And then QBCL in the BMW M4, as well as Blues taking up P6, as well as then Callum Jones, I believe it is, and then Feltham and Stefan Fies taking up to P9 in that Belgium racing team, BMW M4. Then it's going to be Bataclan in the BMW M4. Then it is going to be Robinson in that 336 Ford's GT. Then as well, going further down, it was Ford Mustang, I apologise. So it's going to be Duncan Walken. We'll just go for the 51 Ferrari 296. Well, then by Finley, as well as Fastali And then Kerry Macy taking out the top 15, followed then by Peter Romeo in that Toga Motorsports livery, followed then as well by Brewster and Halligan in the RVR McLaren 720S Evo. As well then is followed by Cora in the BRT livery, as well as then I think it's George Stevens, as well as Tatari and Ritz taking up into the top 22 in that BMW Porsche 992, sorry, as well as Ganley in the 119 McLaren 720S, as well as going further down now into the final few cars. It's going to be Wallace as well as Everett, Hayden Sweet then in the white BMW M4, as Fuller and Liss rounding out the grid here for tonight.
Excellent grid. 3 BRT cars in the top 20. Oh, that's going to be a spicy race then. Looking to see them BRTs move up the field a little bit. I'm assuming that's Kieran Macy who said hello in the chat.
It is indeed. Good to see you, Kieran.
Good luck, man. This is going to be a good race by the looks of it. And remember, it's an 80-minute race with 2 mandatory pit stops for tyres and fuel, I believe.
You would be right.
So that really makes strategy very interesting. We noticed in watching Brands Hatch and Paul Ricard over the last couple of weeks, it's made the strategy game very, very interesting. Lots of different strategies being employed by a number of cars, so it's going to be interesting to see who can win that particular battle of attrition. It's going to be down to who can nail that strategy at the right time.
As well as that, we do see now just coming out of the final few corners of Sector 1 now. We are getting ready to go green here for round 4 here at Nurburgring for the World Tour Championship here at Toga Motorsports. There are a few others starting up soon as well, as we do have the Norwich Fly for 24 hosted by Toga. I believe it's in August. I might be wrong with that, but that is coming up soon, so get ready to sign up for that, as well as the SRO qualifiers. I'm not sure when they start as well. Barry might have to correct me on when that is, but I believe it's quite soon actually.
I believe it's soon. I don't have it directly to hand. One moment, I'll see if I can quickly grab it. And you were right on the 24th of North Slifer. It's August 3rd. That is, so get your sign-ups in for that. I don't see the SRO, so it's maybe a little bit further down the line, unless I'm just blind, which is entirely possible. Oh, sorry, the SRO Duo Cup, is that the one you mean?
It's probably that, yeah.
Yeah, it starts on May 24th, the 2 rounds of that, so
14 days.
That'll be a cool watch, that one. And then we've also got the 24 and 2.4 Season 2, and the World Tour Season 2 after this, which I'm competing in both. So if you see a car go into the wall and it has my name on it,
it's
ignore it. Barrier hitting Barrier, you know.
So as I was saying, 3 BRT cars in the top 20, who knows what will happen. As well as then we do see Kieran saying hey, as we did see earlier, and then 4 cars in the top 22 for BRT, as well as Captain Speedy in the Twitch chat saying, so question for you, what would you go for, the GT Neo Magic or the Delta Evo NS Delta Simtech? So there is a humongous price difference between them both. I've used the Simagic one once. It is amazing. Have never used any Delta Simtech technology yet, so for that price you'd hope it's good.
Yeah, I've seen that some of the Simagic stuff, because I'm looking to get a proper direct drive wheel myself soon, and my initial plan was to get a Moza set up, but Simagic is slowly showing that they're just as good. So, but Delta Simtech I haven't seen much around, so I'm not really sure about that one myself. But if it was me, Simagic or Moza seems to be the best in the market at the moment, from my perspective at least. So obviously it's a opinion-based thing, of course.
As we get ready to go green here, sorry to interrupt there. As we get
no, you're okay.
ready to go green here for round 4 of the Toga Motorsports World Tour Championship, as we do see it's going to be ramming it on pole. We do see there's a few drivers who were quite close with them in terms of qualifying, as we go across the start-finish straight now to go green. So we do see there's already drive through there for Callum Jones, unfortunately, for driver placement on grid, as we do see that is going to be Axel already being able to actually gain quite a few positions. Well, not even gaining positions, gaining a bit of time, but it seems he had a bit of, I'm not even sure what happened there, bit of resistance, and that is actually also going to be a tiny bit of a hit there from Falconer as well. Falconer going all the way in the grass and almost getting hit there. As well as we do see going further down, that is going to be a few drivers already off, as we do go on board with Hayden Sweet trying to take it a bit Well, careful as we do see that. It's going to be Finley, unfortunately, getting punted there by another car, which I believe is going to be the Aston Martin of, I think it's George there, unfortunately. As well as going further up as well, we do actually see already Roy's Blues under a tiny bit of pressure as well. He gets passed by Kubiziel for position number 5 there.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of bumping and banging from the Bentley and the Ferraris there, trying to wrestle for position, going through the arena section. But it looks like they're holding the top 6, 7 are holding position at the moment. Going through the Dunlop curve on the first lap. All of them eager to try and take that first place and just try to run away with it. But as we saw in the previous rounds of this series, a lot of these drivers are very quick and will be sticking to each other for a lot of this race, so that expect some good battles to happen.
I wouldn't be surprised if we do actually start seeing Axel already starting to gap the field. His let's say his qualifying pace was quite significantly better than more significantly faster even than pretty much the entire of the grid. So obviously those 2 pit stops can obviously throw a humongous spanner in the works, to say the least, as we have seen before. I'm not sure if it's happened in Toga, but it's definitely happened before. To me, is you can obviously just get those stop go feeds and drive throughs, and that can be pretty much race over if it's already this far, well, not even that far into the race now, as we do already having to see Callum Jones having to serve that pit stop very, very soon.
Yeah, I see. I don't know what happened at the start there, but Dunker Volk, sorry, I keep butchering that. Down in the last 12 seconds behind P27, he must have been involved in one of those, in an incident at the start there. I think you mentioned there was an incident that happened. He might have been part of that as well. The car doesn't look like it's got a lot of damage, but maybe it just had a minor incident and was off track for a little while. A little bit of grass cutting.
As well as that, as we did see Bart almost getting over, well, did get overtaken by the Lamborghini and then the BMW in front of him, Brewster and Halligan there in that BRT, almost going out on that risk now of losing the top 20. As we do see now, this is going to be the McLaren of, who is that? I think that might be Halligan actually going for the inside line, going into turn 4. He does get it for now, but we do see now there's going to be retaliation with him getting the inside line as well. Now it's still going to be side by side going into sector 2. For the Dunlop curve, we do see he's going to have the better advantage with having the inside line into that very, very steep angled curve. And now we do see it is going to be him maintaining his position of P19. As Sal does say, is there live streaming in this race? Yes, there is. It's going to be yours faithfully, Dexter and Charlie, who is in chat, doing the live streaming for today's race. That will be taking place later when the first few laps have happened, and that's when the most incidents will occur.
Looking at a massive train here at the moment. Fast Hale in the Aston Martin for Aerosport has 1, 2, 3, 5 cars eagerly trying to get by him. A couple of corners ago, they were all on top of each other. Thankfully, no incidents or anything occurred, but they were all basically side by side through a couple of the corners. It was quite something to see there just at the tail end, but it looks like even more cars might be joining the fight. As Kieran Macy has just made up into P12, fighting side by side with the other Porsche of Brian Ritz in the BRT. There's going to be quite the battle between these guys here. They're all very closely matched by the looks of it.
Charlie having a night off as we do catch up with Twitch chat there. What I'll do is send a link of the Delta wheel thing. So if you send it in like a Discord in general, we will be able to see it later on, but we won't be able to talk about any of it just yet, as we do as well see Matthew Feltham in the Simtech Racing McLaren 720S trying to put a bit of pressure there on Stefan Fides in that Belgium racing team, number 28 BMW M4. Both of them obviously still having to do their 2 pit stops. I'm not sure if anyone has done their first mandatory pit stops just yet, but it might not be the best idea of doing that just yet unless you do tyres, because now we're down to 75 minutes of racing left into the first 5 minutes, and it's already been quite chaotic to say the least.
Yeah, Callum Jones is obviously pitted to clear his drive-through, and Dunker Volk is pitted, I'm assuming, to repair some damage to his car. I don't know if he might have taken tyres and fuel just to get one of those 2 mandatory pit stops out of the way, which might be the strategy, you know, have 2 longer stints so that you're not having to worry about pitting twice. and managing 2 different pit stops. Now you only have to worry about 1 for the rest of the race.
I'm not sure if it is the strategy, to be honest, but we do now see as well. Roy Blue's almost looking for a move there on Luke Wilson for P4, but it does seem the McLaren 720S of Luke Wilson is able to keep it for now. Going on to the start finish straight after the Coca-Cola curve, as it is still going to be Roy Blues in P5, Luke Wilson in P4, but obviously that slipstream could be quite a big factor for trying to overtake you going into turn 1, but it doesn't seem he's actually going to even try to attempt again the slipstream there of Luke Wilson going into turn 1, a very, very sharp angled corner, and it's very easy to do it wrong and lose a lot of places in a very, very short amount of time.
Yeah, someone who's clearly been involved in a little bit of an incident is Finlay O'Reilly in the red McLaren. Is the whole side in front of his car looks like he's got aero damage, and he's lost 9 places. I believe he was in the fight for P11 or P10 now. With the one that's been leaded by Fasttail in the Aston Martin. So not quite sure what he got involved with there, but because he's currently running in behind Hayden Sweet, he's up into P20, he's gained 5 positions. That McLaren's going to make a run at him down into, I believe this is Ford Curve, this is called. I may be wrong on that. But that BMW is going to hold him off, heading down into Sector 2 towards Dunlop.
Unfortunately, I did see and witness the Finlay incident going into, I believe it was turn 2 that it happened. It was involving George, unfortunately, and it has obviously caused a lot of visible cosmetic damage. As we do see, it's now going to be side by side with Hayden Sweet and Finlay going into the Schumacher S. Is a difficult corner to try and overtake on, but we do see Finlay is going to lift there. Going into it, he's actually going to get the car unsettled. Amazing save there, almost going off into the gravel trap there and almost hitting barrier.
Yeah. Looking back, SimMagic offer haptic feedback pedals. That is interesting to know. Rabbit. Sorry, that's hard for me to do as well. That's a very interesting thing. I did not know they offered that. I'm definitely gonna look into that. That's a really cool thing. If the feature actually works as well as you would imagine, it would be good. Captain Speedy thinking about the SimMagic Alpha Mini. I'm not quite sure which one that is, but SimMagic seems to be the way to go. It and Moza seem to be the top 2 direct drive wheel competitors at the moment. Obviously Fanatec was the best, but at the moment they're sort of not having the best of times. But that's the good thing, is now we have multiple options to work with, so it's really up to user preference as well at the end of the day.
I was potentially looking to upgrade for a different wheel as well, as we do see, unfortunately, Finlay getting a plus 30-second there. That is going to be from live stewarding, unfortunately, but that is going to be quite a significant, what's the word you would use for that? A significant factor into his race. There we go. This heat is
it's gonna effectively not necessarily ruin his race, but it's gonna severely hamper where he may finish. As he does look like a quick driver. It's just now with that extra 30 seconds, he's gonna have a lot of and that's a brave dive bomb, and actually a very good dive bomb by Finlay. Oh, sorry, was that?
That was Finlay. You were right there.
It was Finlay. Yeah, I saw there was 2 McLarens. And I couldn't remember. I couldn't see which one was which. That was a very brave and very well executed dive bomb down in the Dunlop curve.
Finlay once again looking to go on Hayden Sweet for a position of what's going to be P19. Going through into the back straight now. He is going to get the better exit, so he might go side by side with him going into the lethal curve. I forgot what it is called. But we do see he is going to go side by side with him, just trying to stick his nose out to try and give the racing room, but he does back off there because the overspeed isn't going to be too significant for him. Now, as that BMW will be able to take a lot more of that curb, as we could see Hayden demonstrating for us how much curb you can actually take going into the chicane there. So now we're going to the final corner. He's all over the rear of him as well, but we do see the teammate of Finlay behind him looking to try and get that move back done after Finlay's little dive bomb we saw going into the Dunlop curve. But now going into turn 1, we might see a bit of another dive bomb. No, I'm glad we didn't see one there, because that was actually going to be quite risky, as we actually do see. So Bruce are almost trying to go for it.
Yeah, that a dive bomb there would have been a bit optimistic. He was a little bit too far back for that. But yeah, the very wisely backing out of the feed all chicane at the end of the lap there. Two into one in that corner never works. It's not wide enough for two cars to go in there side by side. You're wiser just backing off and attempting a safer area, like the Dunlop curve which we saw last lap.
That was a good move.
It was a very, very nice move.
Just trying to find some sort of battle to go on board with at the moment. Doesn't seem there's many going on, which is fulfilling me with confidence, but we do see Samuel Ganley trying to get it done on what I believe is going to be Bart in that BRT, or lovely looking BRT V8 Aston Martin livery, one of the only ones that actually seem to have sunk here for tonight. But we do see going through Schumacher S's. He did seem to go a tiny bit wide. That's going to affect his top end speed, but quite a significant amount. But we do see as well, it is going to be him under a bit of pressure now from, that's going to be Ganley and Hayden Sweet, who's actually starting to catch up as well. But we do see that is a yellow flag. I'm not sure who the yellow flag is. That's going to be, unfortunately, the boss man of Toka Motorsports going into the gravel there. We'll get a replay of that as it does go into 90 green number 1, and it's going to be either Finley or the other McLaren unfortunately hitting him there, and that is going to be him losing a significant amount of positions in a very short period of time.
Yeah, that McLaren clearly anxious to get past and just unfortunately hits him in the rear. As yeah, that BMW looks a lot more unsettled now, and with I would imagine some significant aero damage after especially hitting that second McLaren. So
it seems to have been Finley again. He's come into pits now to potentially do his first pit stop.
Yeah, probably get rid of that aero damage because I'm sure it's losing him more time staying out with it. Will he serve the 30 seconds as well? I can't remember.
It's in pit stop.
Wasn't sure if it would have been that. Yeah, all good. And he's in the pits. No one else is pitting at the moment. Out in front, we're still the same. Axel Ramune has pulled a 2.7 second gap to Ethan Faulkner in the Ferrari 1-2 at the moment. And Faulkner has got Willamot for company in the Bentley, 1.2 seconds behind him. Very brave choice at the Nurburgring, in my opinion. But he's been really ragging that Bentley and showing what it's capable of in this series. I believe he is P2 in the standings currently, only 5 points behind Ramune. So he'll be looking to try and snag some extra points off him if he can get close enough to him.
Well, see, now he unfortunately saw what was going to be Raphael trying to defend this move off Bart being able to almost caught him off guard a tiny bit there. And that is going to unfortunately be him losing that position.
Yeah, as I see Callum Jones working his way back up after that drive-through. I believe he started, was it P6? Somewhere around there. Currently in P17, trying to get through the field a little bit. He's on the rear of that BRT Aston Martin. Very awesome livery. And really, really on the back of that car now. He'll be looking to make a move, probably into turn 1, I would imagine, if he's close enough. Coca-Cola curve isn't the best, just the sort of the way the curve tightens halfway through. He'll be looking, especially with the grunt of the Bentley, he'll be trying to get that move done into turn 1. As he goes for it side by side. Is he going to get it done? He is. Oh, and the McLaren goes for the dive bomb and it doesn't execute it. He has is that Ganley, I believe, had he dived down the inside of Bart in the BRT and unfortunately caused a collision with the pair of them. Hopefully there's not too much damage in either car. Maybe just a slightly optimistic move there. But looks like both cars are running well still. Doesn't look there's too much damage on either.
What a dive bomb we just saw there from Callum Jones going into turn 4 there on, I believe that was going to be, is that Wally's? Or I'm not actually sure who that might be. I'm going to check my relative tab. That was Wally's. It seems Wally's has lost quite a few positions there in a few corners, but now an hour and 5 minutes left of racing. It has started to die down in battles, but this is what's going to happen. But what we will see with those 2 mandatory pit stops, hopefully will come back. But what we do see is, well, George Stevens under a tiny bit of pressure there from what's going to be Battaglia going into the Schumacher S, as he is going to get the inside line going into the outside of it, which is the most crucial part to get going in for, well, either defending a position or attacking for one. He is able to maintain P20 for the time being, as we also see that is going to be Tatari behind, in front of him, sorry, in that Lamborghini. He makes a tiny bit of a bit of a mistake there, which is going to cause George Stephen being able to catch up going into the back straight.
Yeah, heading up towards the chicane. I would imagine George is going to stick behind him going through these next couple of corners, hoping to get close enough for turn one is normally the best bet on this track, or the Dunlop curve if you're close enough is normally the best bet for overtakes. Just because if you can get close enough late on the brakes, you can get the move done. There's lots of room for more than one car to be. As we look on board, Callum Jones is right on the back of Peter Romeo now, coming into the arena section of the GP. That Bentley is looking absolutely rapid as Peter Romeo makes a mistake and Callum is able to just drive through up into P13 now. He's making serious inroads back towards the top 10. Bear in mind, he still has 2 pit stops to do because remember, the pit stop he made was only a drive-through, so he's still been hampered quite a bit by that mistake at the start of the race by just jumping the gun a little bit early. Let's look a little bit further up the field. The only battle near the top 10 is Kieran Macy and Eri Faztail. Sorry if I got that wrong. In the Aston Martin for P10. Kieran is right on the heels, only about half a second behind, heading into that left-right complex before the back straight of the lap into sector 3.
Does seem he is actually starting to create a tiny bit of a gap there. Airy going into the back straight now on Kieran Macy, who is starting to lose a tiny bit of time, lost about 2/10 there, going into the end part of the back straight. But this is where we're going to see the Aston Martin shine, going through the chicane. Now we do see this is where the Porsche will start to gain a tiny bit of time through the mid-aero corners, where it is going to have the aero advantage compared to that Aston Martin, where you can take a bit more speed into those, well, slower corners.
Yeah, unfortunately the Porsche hit curbs and the Porsche do not end well, so if you take any curb at that chicane, it's going to end up in the wall. It just does not. It's not a fan of them. So driving the Nurburgring in the Porsche myself once, didn't end well. I have not done it since.
As well as we go further up, now we do see there's going to be Christopher, I believe, in the Raptor Virtual Racing McLaren 720S, now once again attacking what is going to be the Bentley, I believe. I'm not sure who that Bentley actually is. We go on,
that is Callum Jones.
Jones. Yeah, you're right.
I believe he's made that position up. Actually, he overtook Halagon there at the start of the lap. I didn't see it on my screen, but Callum Jones was P13 last lap.
I see. But we do see this is going to be Dave Brewster in that interception, racing McLaren 720S, again putting a bit of pressure there on what is going to be the Lamborghini of Tatari. This is going to be for P20, I believe. As it does seem now he's going to try go for the inside line going into the Dunlop curves. At the moment he has his front wing in, but it's not going to work for him just yet. He has to back out and try once again as we go on board with the wing now of the Tatari. As we do see both of these cars do not have penalties, but we do see a few of them are being applied left, right and centre at the moment. As we do see now Raphael actually starting to put the pedal to the metal, as he is already starting to create a gap once again between the both. Can't be said between what seems to be George Stevens, as George Stevens was able to get by what is going to be, I believe, Pateron. It's that everything seems to be messed up once again, unfortunately, but it is going to be Ganley getting the +5, the second penalty as well applied to his first pit stop.
Yeah, I imagine that will be for the turn 1 incident we saw earlier with the BRT Aston. As we see, a pit stop is coming in for the Mustang, who was, I believe, in P9, has coming in for their first stop. Quite an early one, but again, this is where the 2-stop allows for a lot of different strategic moves. So pitting early and going for the double 30-minute stint at the end might be the way to go. I guess we're going to find out.
Now, I'm thinking he might have went for tyres here, because his pit stop seems to be quite long here. I'm not sure how long the Ford can actually go on fuel. Do you know?
I'm not sure on the Nurb, but whenever I drove it at Imola last night, and it didn't seem to be that much more of a gas guzzler than some of the cars I've driven. Um, I think in a 25-minute race, I think I used 40 liters of fuel, maybe 45. So it's not too bad actually on fuel, surprisingly. And yeah, it looks like he's taken fuel and tires. He's pit stop was just over 30 seconds, which is the mandatory time if you are taking tires. So that seems to be one of his 2 mandatory stops done.
What we do see once again is George Stevens under a tiny bit of pressure here from David Brewster behind him in the number 24 McLaren 720S Interception Racing livery, who's also actually starting to be caught up a tiny bit by what's going to be Donker Walker, I believe is how you say it, going into Schumacher S's, because how much these two fight determines how much time they actually lose and how much time is Donker Walker is actually going to be able to gain going into the next coming laps when they start actually battling for real. Sorry, it is too hot in my room. It is 37 degrees in my room right now. Yeah.
You need to invest in a fan.
I have the fan, it's just not on.
I need to go plug my fan in and turn it on, but I'm not doing that just yet. As we see, the BRT BMW of Stephen Fays in the pits now, making his first mandatory stop, I would imagine. He doesn't have a time penalty or a drive-through or anything. He's actually stopped, so I would assume he's going to take fuel and tires and take pit stop number 1. I imagine now we're going to see a number of cars coming in over the next 5 to 10 minutes to get that first pit stop out of the way.
It is not the worst time to do that first pit stop because you can actually gain quite a few places with that undercut penalty in the next coming, well, let's say 25 minutes when, well, theoretically every car should have pitted.
Yeah, you would imagine. The standard would be 30, 30, 20 sort of stint times, because that makes up your 80 minutes, of course. But taking away a couple for the actual pit stop time itself. But it just really depends on how these drivers want to take it. If they feel confident going a little bit longer, running one longer stint to have 2 shorter ones, to have fresher tires and lower fuel loads, just to bang in the hot lap times, and make up some places.
Brewster is trying absolutely everything to try get past George Stevens here. It's not working just yet for him. We did just see him going through the Dunlop curve almost side by side, but had the back out last second because it does seem George Stevens is not being able to break under pressure that well in hopes for Dave Brewster to get past for himself. But what it does seem to happen now, because of how much they have actually been battling, it does seem is it Shin Donker Walker is in the Belgium racing team for R296 GT3 now, actually, who has caught up Dave Brewster for position. So this is going to make it a bit more interesting between these two, which is going to put a bit of a sigh of relief for George Stevens, who might start to be able to create a tiny bit of a gap once again and have another attempt of trying to fight for the rest of the field.
Yeah, as it looks like George Stevens actually pulled a second clear of Brewster there in the last sector, which is going to be a little bit of a sigh of relief for him, but also Brewster's now going to be under attack from Dunkerwalk, who is only a couple of tenths behind him there, as you saw him get really close under braking there for T1. So that'll be a little bit of a sigh of relief for that Aston Martin. He was doing a great job defending and parking that car in the apex, but we did see just a little oversteer moment there, which is going to actually bring both the cars behind back into contention. This battle is going to continue for a while by the looks of it.
Well, that it does seem Kieran Macy's actually started to pull in on Ari once again in that Aston Martin V8. We did see him earlier catching up with Ari quite significantly, but it seemed he fell off a tiny bit, but now has regained that time and potentially going for part 2 and trying to get past P8 for position.
Yeah, going for part 2 electric boogaloo, as last lap he was 4.5 tenths faster than the Aston Martin. So if he can keep that up, then he's gonna be fighting for P8 in the next lap or two. As we see, Ramune he's driving that Ferrari on rails. That he's nearly pulled 5 seconds to Faulkner in P2, which is surprising because the last couple of rounds, P1 to P3 was much closer than this. So it seems that this is just a comfort track for Ramune. He's really able to just drive that Ferrari and pull away from the rest of the field.
That seems actually has done that. Yeah, sorry to leave you there for a second. I had to actually go and plug in my fan because it is getting absurdly hot. But what we do see is Rafael Tatari getting past now Ganley for position as Ganley has came into the pits. It seems does seem he runs a tiny bit wide there going through the Coca-Cola curves. He might be under a tiny bit of pressure from this huge train that is starting to form now as Dave Brewster being able to get by what is going to be George as well in the first coming laps. Now, as we do see, this could be a humongous dive bomb there for Tatari to get past. Well, not for... Oh, my days, my brain is going. I apologise.
Yeah, it looks like George Stevens actually lost a couple of places there. Somehow he must have had an incident or a moment, potentially oversteer out of the corner, as he's trying to put pressure on Dunkerberg to get back into that position. As we see a few more cars pitting, Kieran Macy is actually already finished his first pit stop. He's coming out of the pits now. Must have just pitted after didn't want to look at the back of the Aston Martin for much longer and just wanted to get a pit stop out in a bit of cleaner air, just so he can start banging in some faster laps and potentially working that undercut on the Aston Martin slightly further down the line.
It's actually quite a good idea that, as we do now see, is it Zanab Asif saying hello in chat. Welcome on in. Good evening to you. Hope all is well there. We do see...
Yeah,
sorry, you go.
I was about to say, I think we're about to see the same thing, the leaders in the pits. Ramune has came into the pits for his first stop, as has Roy Blues. 2 Ferraris in the pits now, and Feltham has joined as well. We're now starting to see a number of cars starting to pit for their pit stops, as I believe is that Faztail is coming in to cover off the undercut from Kieran Macy last lap. It's going to be interesting to see how those two shake out after that pit stop.
Does seem now probably about a quarter of the grid have done their first pit stops now. It is going to make the battles reappear again, as we do see now Tatari staying out because he wants to try to stay ahead of now Donko Walker in the Ferrari 296 behind him. I hope I'm saying his name right because it doesn't sound like I am, but now it does seem he is going to have that slipstream, as we can use the wing for reference to see how much time he gains. But he does a humongous dive bomb going to turn 1. Is he actually going to be able to do it though? Or is it Raphael going to be able to drive past? It does seem he has been able to do it. It's still going to be side by side here. But now it's going to be what seems to be Duncan Walker going up into what is going to be P11 there, I believe. Oh my god, there's been a bit of contact there actually. Sorry to interrupt there once again, but that is going to be, unfortunately, Duncan Walker getting a tiny bit of contact there from Tatari going into turn 3. And that is going to be them going back into their original positions once again.
Yeah, a real hard-fought battle here between these two. I believe George Stevens and Dave Brewster are in the pits. Yet they are. That's why they're no longer part of that battle. More cars just trying to serve those pit stops. As it looks like Brewster has not fixed the aero damage on his car, which is an interesting choice. It must not be hampering his lap times that much if he's able to keep going with the damage still to the car.
So I'm not too sure what just happened there. I'm not sure what happened with Tatari there, as we get a replay going through the Dunlop curve. Oh, it just goes a tiny bit wide there, unfortunately, going onto the gravel trap, which does let then Duncan Walker back through for position.
Unfortunately, it looks like he outbraked himself just a little bit, trying to get the brake in at the very, very last moment, just to get the maximum lap time out of that corner. As we see a few more pit stops coming in, Callum Jones and Leon Kubitzel have come in for their pit stops as well. It looks like now about half the field, more than half the field now is. Now we're looking at more than 3/4 has done their first pit stop. There's maybe 7 cars that still need to pit. So it's going to be very interesting once everyone gets a pit stop in, where it all checks out. And bear in mind, we do have still one more pit stop after that to go for, I believe, every single car. So
you would be correct there. It doesn't seem anyone has done their second mandatory pit stop just yet, but we will probably see that towards the end. I'm not sure how, obviously, these people's pit strategies have been assigned, but I'm assuming what they're going to do is probably try to split the fuel 50-50, or they will do that splash and dash at the end. There is no fixed fuel time, so it is all down to, you could put 1 litre in and that's going to be equivalent to 3 seconds up on the stands.
Yeah, but you remember you do have to take tires as well, and tires is always a 30-second pit stop. So if you're taking 30 seconds for tires, you may as well split your fuel load. Just makes sense to do it that way because it's not going to add any extra time.
I believe quite a few of these people have already done their tires, so I think they only have their mandatory fuel stop left.
Is it not mandatory fuel and tires for both? No.
I think it's just 1 and 1. If
Oh really? I think I was under the assumption it was both for both pit stops.
Charlie,
But,
are you still here?
If I've got that wrong, I sincerely apologize.
I might also have to
Okay, sorry.
apologise.
2 mandatory stops, fuel and tires. It says on the sim grid page. Yeah. Okay. No,
Don't
that's
Charlie,
good. Just got to clarify.
Yeah.
It's all good, Charlie. We found the answer.
Charlie's like Alexa.
That's it. But instead of "Hey Alexa," it's "Hey Charlie."
Charlie. Nothing. We got confused with the pit stop strategy. Well, not strategy. Mandatory pit stop allocations, but we got it sorted in the end. There.
Might need a software update, Charlie. You weren't the response wasn't fast enough there.
That wasn't our answer. We didn't want your name 3 times.
Might need a reboot.
What is going to happen there as well is Christopher is going to go side by side here with Tatari 4 position. Tatari on fire at the moment in that Lamborghini, going side by side with each other, going into Schumacher S's. Does seem Tatari was able to get by quite quickly. Is there going to be retaliation here from Christopher? It does seem he's trying to do it, going into the final few corners before the back straight. But at the moment, it does seem they're going to start spreading out once again. We're going to see Halagon sitting in the middle of this train so far. He might be able to get a good slipstream and overspeed here on that Lamborghini, because the top speed on the Lamborghini compared to the McLaren is significant in favour of that McLaren going through the final chicane. Now, it does seem he's actually starting to pull away a tiny bit there. Tatari going into P21 for position.
Yeah, it looks like after the pit stops have shaken out, Fasttail is still ahead of Keir Macy. Keir in that Porsche will be sick of the sight of the rear view of that Aston Martin by the end of this race if he can't get past. He's still right behind him, though. Less than half a second splits the 2 cars, so it's going to be interesting to see who can win that particular battle of attrition. As Callum Jones is also on the tail of that Porsche, and the Bentley with the much superior top speed is going to be, especially in the back straight, it's probably going to just drive past him. Is this section it favors the Porsche, but there is a couple of straights here, so the Bentley will be able to should be able to just power past them going into the first corner.
As it does seem, Karen, Charlie wants a update on the 420 car. It does seem he's gone into the pits, but it does seem Rabbit is just said he broke early for pit stop as he comes out in P5 there. So coming out for your first pit stop there in P5, has to defend it now from what's going to be Faulkner behind him as it goes side by side going into turn 1. Now at the moment it does seem he's still ahead going into turn 2 into the arena section, and he does stay ahead taking P5 now. Still has to do that second mandatory pit stop of fuel later into the race, which should only be about a 33-second time in the pits roughly.
Yeah, and as we look on board, Willamot and Romeo still have to do their pit stops ahead of Wilson, so it looks like he may potentially get net P3 after this. How far is Willamot ahead? Willamot is about over a minute ahead, so I'm not too sure, but he'll definitely come out in P4 after all the pit stops check out. I believe that's where Wilson started as well, so that'll be he'll be happy with that so far, and just be looking to keep this form up for the rest of the race.
Well, it's that Callum Jones, once again a car that we've seen quite a few times during this race, or even in the last 10 minutes you could say, actually starting to create a tiny bit of a gap. But Kieran Macy in, well actually no, hang on, what has happened? Yeah, my race controls just died, so can you do your thing for a few minutes?
We'll look at the Kieran Macy and Faztail battle. So Callum Jones has got past Kieran Macy in the Porsche, which has split them a little bit further behind. Callum Jones is right on the tail of Faztail, pun totally not intended. And has he actually got the move done? I believe he has. He has. My race control just hasn't updated fast enough. So that has put Faztail back in the clutches of Kieran Macy, roughly about half a second between them again, as Callum Jones is really ragging that Bentley to try and get back into the position he started in. It's going to be a tall order to keep this pace up, but he's definitely getting there. As it also looks like, if my race control is correct, Dunkerwalk is on the tail. I'm sorry, what's happened?
Is yours also corrupted by any chance? Because
No.
his is disconnect. I can't click on Dunkerwalk.
Okay, I can click on Dunkerwalk.
I think he's disconnected.
He might have done. I'm not too sure. But I also noticed that the Bentley is now behind the Porsche and the Aston Martin again, so my race control has been
Messed up.
having a bit of a nightmare as well. Unfortunately. But the Porsche of Kieran Macy has got past. He's got past the Aston Martin of Faztail. Although it doesn't look like my race control has frozen. I can't actually see live updates anymore.
Okay, I'll take it for a bit if you run a restart. Oh wait, mine isn't either. Okay, so we're gonna have to do this provisionally, but at the moment it does seem Kieran Mason is still able to see it as Callum Jones goes for a humongous oversteer moment that's gonna get him hit. A lot of airtime there going into turn 4, and he goes into the thing, and let's return to garage here. I think that might be our first rage quit, as he's actually disconnected from the race there entirely, so I'm not sure what's happened there. But has your race control started working?
I am restarting race control. Just bear with me one moment.
That's fine.
It may have just had a bit of a fit, so just gonna restart it.
It's happened with me as well. This is the first time. Grant Willamot there coming out of the pits, going into P3 in that Stone Cold Racing Bentley Continental. But we do see that is also going to be actually the Aston Martin. I'm not sure what Aston Martin that is. I think that might be George as well, as we can see my race control is actually fully stopped walking now.
I might be a server issue. Let me restart. Let me reconnect to the server and find out if that will fix it, because I can't reconnect.
But what we will go ahead on is try to use the old-fashioned style and using the actual timing board. But currently Luke Wilson in P6 now, just 2 tenths behind now of Cubazel in that 179 BMW M4 GT3. Does seem these two are getting quite close with each other, but they aren't going to be able to go past each other just yet. Luke Wilson probably knowing the idea of just trying to do it sensibly and responsibly, because there's still 41 minutes left to go, and he can still do that pit stop idea as well, because they both still have to do one mandatory pit stop, as we do see Romeo still has to do his 2. So there is still quite a bit of competitivity in the top of this leaderboard so far.
Yeah, good news. I've got my race control back by the looks of it. I needed to reconnect to the server, so apologies for the technical issues, everyone.
This means I'm not going to be able to.
Race controllers had a minor fit, but it's okay. We'll just work with it. One person who's having a stellar race is Robinson. Sorry, my brain is having a moment. It's not just race controllers breaking. I'm
gonna quickly restart my server as well, because I think
I'll just keep talking so that people can hear what's going on. Lewis Robinson, sorry, is having a great race up in P8 in that Ford Mustang. I believe he started P11, so he's doing a great job making inroads there. He has Matthew Felt for company about a second back, and Hayden Sweet is about just under a second behind him as well. So that battle could get pretty spicy in a lap or two. As Peter Romeo is now coming to the pits, I believe he's one of the last ones to make his first mandatory pit stop. I'm not sure, because I believe I'm just not sure race control is properly updated now because of that, which is slightly frustrating, but it's okay.
Halfway through, not over yet.
Yeah, I can't see who's doing pit stops anymore, but believe everyone has done one mandatory pit stop. I think the only person that might not have done one is Hayden Sweet, which is he's going for the long first stint and maybe a double splash and dash, shorter stints, which would be an interesting way to try this. As Peter Romeo is coming out P13, I'm not sure if that gives him an undercut on anyone, or sorry, an overcut. I think because he's one of the last ones to pit.
What is going to happen though, as well, is we can actually see that's going to be the Pateron Racing BMW M4 now going on the inside of Ritz, going into turn 1. It's going to be a switchback here from Ritz. It doesn't seem he's going to be able to have enough speed to do that, as it does seem now the Pateron Racing of Butterglyn has been able to get past, as well as we do now see David Brewster going to try to go through the inside line of turn 3. He gets the inside line, barely any room between them both, a bit of door rubbing there. We do see now going into turn 4, it's going to be the advantage point of Brian getting the inside line. Now going into this mini straight before turn 5. Now it does seem Brian Rich was able to maintain his position of P15 for now.
Yeah, we're watching touring car racing for a second there with the door rubbing that was going on, but good racing by the two guys. Very respectful. Giving each other just about enough room and no more, which is what you want to see. Another battle further up the order. Lewis Robinson in the Mustang has Matthew Feltham very close for company. He's right on the tail of him there, heading down the start-finish straight. But I believe the Mustang will have the legs, as I believe the power output is much superior to the McLaren, and he's going to hold on to that position going through T1. That's going to be a good battle to see who wins that one. That Mustang is having a great race so far. As we see now, Hayden Sweet is making his mandatory pit stop, the first one, I believe, as race control has reset the pit count for some reason, which is not ideal, but we'll make it work. I'm going to check the stint times quickly. Yeah, everyone has made a pit stop by the looks of it.
You'd hope so.
Yeah, if you haven't made a pit stop by now, you're going for a very bold strategy, and I commend you for that.
I do as well.
Going for the... Oh, is Peter Romeo is back in the pits?
Doing a second pit stop by any chance?
He pitted last lap, or the lap before.
Consecutive pit strategy, it seems.
Is he just trying to get his pit stops out of the way and going for 2 longer stints? That's an interesting interpretation of the pit stops.
It is, and I think I might respect it, actually. We'll keep on board with him to see what he's doing, but it does seem he's been in the pits for quite a while. He hasn't come down on the jacks just yet, so I'm assuming he might have went for tyres.
He's been stopped for 25 seconds, so it looks like he's taking tyres. He's trying to get those both those mandatory pit stops out of the way very quickly, and he has done. He's done so. 32 seconds stop, so I imagine he's just topping up enough fuel to finish the race. As well as taking that extra set of tires. So the good thing about that is now he doesn't have to worry about another pit stop. He can just get on with it and just focus on putting in consistent lap times to gain back the positions he's now lost because of that. As we see, Finlay O'Reilly is in the pits. I would imagine taking his second pit stop. As well, he's just entered the pits. He is in P24 at the moment. Still P24. Dropping down into P25 now as Liss has just overtaken him. Bear in mind, he will be back in contention after everyone else takes their pit stops too. As Rabbit is car 420 has been bonked on lap 20. Where is Luke Wilson?
Car 420, where is he actually? Yeah. He's
P5. He does look like he's got a little bit of damage to the front and the rear of that car. I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure, Rabbit. Did you see what happened there? I'm not sure
what happened. It does seem he has a lot more damage to the back of his car, so I'm assuming he might have got rear-ended there. So you do see Chaz in chat saying who is doing comms today. It is me, the person who raged quite a lot on Uno, and then it's Barry next to me as well.
Yep, the Irishman, or otherwise known as Barry R, from Charlie. So...
Let's see if he responds this time.
Oh, he probably will. I'm just waiting for the Alexa style response from him.
Car 20 has been bonked on lap 20.
Oh, that's just what I was mentioning there. The Luke Wilson incident. I don't know what happened, but his car's got damage. Blazing 8s after the race. You guys could play it. You were raging at it last night. I will not take part.
Do you want to hear a story? And it still hurts right down my finger. So I was playing Blazing 8s. Blazing 8 is for context. If you're not on the Discord a lot, you don't know what it is. It's a knockoff of Uno, and I'm just gonna be completely honest. I'm the best player out of all of them. They're a bit pants, I'll be honest. But I won once. That's also a complete lie. But basically, I was celebrating and I accidentally whacked my thumb against my desk, completely dislocated my thumb for a second. And that's the first and last time I think anyone's ever going to dislocate their thumb playing a knockoff Uno game.
Yeah, I mean, if you dislocate your finger playing a knockoff Uno, that's not what I thought to hear in my 2024 bucket list, to be quite honest.
I don't think I ever want to hear it.
Sorry, bucket list? Bingo card is what I meant to say.
Bingo.
English has left the chat.
Don't worry, mine went out ages ago. This heat is, it's now 40 degrees in my room, just for reference.
Oh my. As we still look, Feltham, get back to the action actually, Feltham is still right on the tail of Robinson in that Mustang. I'm going to assume that the straight line speed and the grunt that Mustang has is keeping him ahead, because Feltham in the twistier sections is getting much closer. Seems to be a little bit faster through that section, but the straights, I'm going to assume the Mustang is just able to keep enough of a gap to hold on to that position. As we look, Kieran Macy has actually managed to get past Fasttail in the Aston Martin. Has pulled nearly a second there on them. Not quite sure when that overtake happened, but it looked like it was coming for a little while, but that Porsche was right on the tail for a number of laps.
Does seem he has gotten past. I believe that was a few laps ago. It might have been in the pits actually as well, with the undercut that Kieran tried to perform, but both of them still having to do at least one pit stop. Hopefully they shouldn't have to do any more scheduled pit stops unless there is obviously an incident that occurs. But we do see Rich has actually also done both mandatory pit stops now, so he is going to be going to the end with 32 minutes left to go with no worries about pit stops or any sort of pit penalty, so that is good to see for him. But we do see now Kieran Macy actually getting a tiny bit more pressure from both what seems to be the Ferrari there. I'm not sure who that Ferrari actually is.
That is the Ferrari of Liss. He has been lapped now by them too.
I see.
Must have had an incident earlier in the race. As them two have moved out of the way there and let them pass for blue flags. Which is nice to see. Yeah, as Fasttail is getting a bit closer to that Porsche there of Kieran Macy, but this tight technical section is where the Porsche shines, so he should be able to hold that position at least through this section of the track.
Indeed, so, but it does seem though Eri has got wait, hang on, let me fact check this. It does seem Eri does have the faster lap time last lap of a 156.2 compared to Kieran Macy's 156.8, so there is that 6/10 difference, which can be quite a bit, and that's what we have seen Eri catch up quite a bit in the first few laps or so that we've seen.
Yeah, as we see the RVR of Halagon has come in for his second pit stop there. Yeah, he's just getting that out of the way by the looks of it. I would imagine most cars will be coming in between 20 and 25 minutes to go. You don't want to leave that pit stop too late. Just then you're, well, maybe you do, I don't know, do you? Because maybe if you run your fuel for 10 minutes of fuel and a set of tires and just basically hot lap for 10 minutes, you may be able to pick up positions. But
is this tires? Are you mentioning tires or fuel?
Both. So like if you took your second mandatory pit stop with like say 10 minutes to go, and you took a fresh set of tires and a light fuel load to last that 10 minutes, you could just basically hot lap.
I don't think it's efficient because you're not going to gain that 90-ish seconds or however long it's going to be in total time spent in pits in that 10 minutes. Otherwise, everyone would be doing it. I believe doing it half and half is probably the best if it was going to be a race like this.
It clearly shows I am not a strategist of any sort. As we see, the BRTFS is sorry, I butchered that completely. Has come into the pits for his second mandatory pit stop as well. Let's see, the cars are going to slowly filter in over the next coming laps.
Ooh, Kieran Macy now going side by side with Eri. Eri trying to get that position back, and it does seem he gets it done going into now turn 3. Is there going to be retaliation here from Kieran Macy to try regain a P9 that he once originally had? But Eri actually seems to be doing quite well in terms of consistency at the moment compared to Kieran Macy. But he is all over the rear of him still going into the small straight before the Genlop curve. Is there going to be any sort of retaliation through there? Doesn't seem he will actually have enough. Well, he's actually created a tiny bit of a gap there now. Eri of about 6/10 going through into the Dunlop curves now.
Yeah, it seems that both of them have very similar pace. It's just Faztail seems to be slightly more consistent, and able to bang in slightly better lap times consistently. Kieran Macy looks like he's losing a bit of lap time on some of these laps. Maybe the Porsche getting a little bit out of shape. The fact that it wants to kill you every single corner if you're not careful. So maybe just struggling a little bit with the rear end, which is entirely possible. As we see the Mustang of Robinson and the McLaren of Feldman have both come in at the same time. They were on Feldman was on the heels of him for the last 10-15 minutes, but they both put it at the exact same time. This is going to make this battle very interesting come the end of the race.
Does
And it
seem.
also looks like the field is spread out a little bit now.
Yeah, you've read my mind. That is exactly what I was going to say.
But sorry, I just took that one right out of your mind.
It's fine.
I just had a look at the gap to the leader, and Ramunet has pulled 9 seconds on Faulkner. That is insane. He's really got that car nailed down for this track. And Willemot in the Bentley is just under 4 seconds back to Faulkner in P2 as well. So Willemot looks like he's settling for P3 at the moment. With Kubitzel in P4 about 18 seconds back from there. And then Luke Wilson, who's had a very strong race so far, is about 7 seconds back from that. So there's not too much in the way of battles happening much at the moment. Well, the only real battle I can see happening at the moment in the field is the Kieran Macy and Eri Faztail battle is still going on. Still keeping within about 5-6 tenths consistently here. So it just shows that they're both very consistent. It's just Faztail maybe have a slight edge here at the moment.
Does seem that so. Kieran Macy actually still losing a tiny bit of time compared to Feltham now. All over the rear there of Robinson's Ford Mustang going into turn 5. Now it does seem you need to be a tiny bit careful there, Robinson, because obviously that car is going to suffer with a tiny bit of understeer depending on how he has set out that car. So he just needs to be a bit aware of where Feltham actually might be, either left or right of his car, going into the last sector or so, because it does seem Feltham is taking a significant beating to his times at the moment. But Robinson did gain quite a bit of time going into the last sector compared to Feltham.
Yeah, it looks like Feltham is much faster in like the sectors 1 and 2, and he's just struggling to get by the sheer size of that Mustang. You park that car in the apex, like the Bentley, like the BMW, you park it in the apex, it's going to be near impossible to get by.
Oh, it does look lovely though. But Kieran Macy actually once again going for a retaliation there on Eri for position going into turn 2. Now it does seem he tries to do a switchback there. It's not going to work just yet. He does keep the outside line now going into turn 3, but will have the inside line going into turn 4. Does seem, can he just keep at it? No, he cannot. It does seem Eri does do for a bit of a lunge there to try maintain his position of P8 now. We do see it's going to be that continuous loop that we have seen as Kieran's being able to get closer, but it does seem Eri's defending is seeming to be pretty good at the moment.
Yep, pit stop updates. Roy Blues in P9 has just finished his second mandatory pit stop. The BRT of Bart Cower, sorry if I butchered that, I really apologise, I'm bad with names, is come in for his pit stop. Tartarian, the Lambo's just come in. And Samuel Ganley for White Noise Racing in that lovely black and green McLaren is also in the pits. So a few drivers now starting to take that final pit stop, going for the end of the race.
Question, very unrelated to the green McLaren that we've just seen. Do you only like green because you're Irish? Or is it just the personal preference of a colour?
I mean, I can see where you're getting the stereotype from, but no, I just like green. Green is just a cool color. It's just my favorite. It's my
Fair
favorite
enough.
color. But I believe probably being Irish is part of it. I would imagine.
I don't blame you.
But yeah, no, green is just a really cool color. Actually, completely unrelated topic. I got bored the other night and decided to start trying to design a livery for just to try my hand at it because why not? And completely butchered it and I tried to do it in Blender with the actual
Oh.
car models.
I've never been
And
able
it
to
took
actually import a livery into Blender. I've always used 2D photo editing softwares like Photoshop, and I do liveries occasionally.
I am very bad at Photoshop, so I use Blender and it actually works okay because you just paint on top of the actual car model and export it. It's pretty cool.
Hmm.
Um, I'm just bad at it. So I made a green and like white
Oh,
kind of.
shocker, you using green.
I know.
But
It is what it is, but no, it didn't turn out well. So that livery will never see the light of day. But it was fun to try.
aw,
Well, I mean, if for the right price, you might see it. You know, you never know.
what's the right price? Give us a listing.
Uh, I was gonna make a very stereotypical joke and say a pint of Guinness, but I'm not gonna make that joke. No, it maybe. Well, I'll maybe share it in the Discord just for a laugh. So if you're in the Toga Discord and you see a really awful, what car did I make it for? I think it was the Porsche. If you see a really awful Porsche livery, you'll know who made it. Just please don't give me any stick for it.
I'm gonna make a car. Well, I'm gonna try qualify next year for the next race. I'm gonna say Barry did this livery
Yeah,
just to annoy you.
that's it. I was gonna make a livery that basically just said 100% skills, 0% practice.
Oh, there's a
Uh,
YouTuber,
yeah, sim quips.
SimQuips.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
yeah.
talked to him quite a few times. He's an absolute legend. When I did commentary for Pitskill, still do. Based off his Chrysler, I forgot what Chrysler he had, but that entire series was
The
hilarious.
PT Cruiser.
PT
Yeah,
Cruiser, yeah. That was hilarious, and his drift car collection is absolutely nuts. I've seen a few of them, not in real life, but he has showed me pictures in DMs a few times of them, and he has quite a few, to say the least, and he has that lovely Ford Mustang as well.
yeah. He's a really cool guy. I've never actually spoken to him personally, but I watch his YouTube quite a lot and his streams quite a lot, and he's a funny guy. I really like him.
Can you please get some sexy shots of the 420 car? You can indeed. There is the 420 JP Motorsport livery. That lovely livery.
Oh,
What's wrong?
hang on. As Ramune has served a second pit stop because I noticed that he was done in P5. But he has served a second pit stop, and Faulkner has responded by serving his second pit stop now.
Oh,
So
competitivity.
we're gonna start seeing all the pit stops coming in probably the next 5 minutes, because you don't want to leave it too late, I would imagine. But sorry, I'll let you get back to the sexy shots of 420.
Oh, it's on screen. Don't worry.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't looking at the official stream there at that exact second.
Do you race a
Yeah.
pit skill at all?
And I haven't actually raced on. I've signed up for pit skill, but I haven't raced on it yet.
I see.
I've just raced on LFM. But I'm not opposed to racing on pit skill. I just haven't really bothered recently. I did a couple of LFM races last night, but I've been so busy the last few weeks. I haven't had much time to just sit down and do a few like weekly races and stuff. But I'll get whenever I get back into it, I'll maybe try pit skill for the first time
Big
because
up
I went
pit
on to
skill.
it.
Love the guys at pit skill. No self promotion, sorry. But what's it called? Just been with them for quite a few. Oh, actually, it might be over a year and a half now. So, been with them
Very
for
nice.
quite a bit of time.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair. I believe they do daily races as well over in pit skill. They don't
Yeah.
just do the weekly ones like LFM
It's
does.
hourly races.
Oh, but what I mean is they have the daily updated races. So like the way LFM they do weekly tracks.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I
Uh,
believe pit skill they do daily ones.
no, they do weekly as well.
Oh, do they? I thought I read somewhere they did dailies. Maybe I'm just an idiot, which is entirely possible. Uh, um,
I
Somebody
apologize if I
passed.
keep coughing, by the way. I'm still very, very much ill.
Ah, no, it's all good. Can't help illness, unfortunately.
Yeah, wish I could.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep trying to mute myself when I go for a drink of my lovely can of Monster.
Sugar-free monster. What flavor?
Sugar-free Monster. It's the Lewis Hamilton one.
Oh, of course.
Uh, it, not because it's Lewis Hamilton's Monster, but because it is actually, it slaps. It's so nice.
I
It's like a
don't drink.
pineapple-y taste.
I don't drink Monster or any caffeinated drink apart from tea and coffee. So
I'm not a tea or coffee drinker. That's going to cause a controversy, maybe.
yeah, probably not.
It's caused a controversy with a lot of people in the past. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, I lived in England for a year. Whenever
Unlucky
I
lad.
was on, yeah, I know. Whenever I was on my placement for uni, I had to live in England for a year, and
Oh yeah, coffee
being
is like
offered
a
tea.
life support.
Yeah, you see, my life support is Monster instead of. Well, it's not as bad anymore. I used to have a raging Monster addiction for a few years. It's a lot less now, thankfully, because it was bad.
Uh,
So I'll normally have one sometimes I'm at the gym. But I didn't have one today. I didn't drink it at the gym. I've just kept hold of it, so I'm just drinking it now.
18 minutes left to go now. We do see Ari once again attacking on Kira Macy to see if he can regain his place and retaliate on Kira Macy for his position, as they both have served their second mandatory pit stop. Just a few people who haven't just yet, with only 18 minutes left to go. Kira Macy under pressure now to try and maintain his position for the next 18 minutes and defend, well, potentially for 18 minutes from Ari. That will be a bit of a task for him, so he needs to try to put his pedal to the metal and try to create a tiny bit of a gap between them both. At the moment, it does seem Ari might be able to get past in the next few corners or so.
Yeah, and an update on the Mustang battle. Feltham and the McLaren has got past the Mustang, but the Mustang might be going for a dive down the inside of the turn one. He has done. Oh, they both leaving each other's space. Some respectful driving there, but it looks like the McLaren is going to keep that position. That was a good dive there by the Mustang, but unfortunately couldn't make the move stick. So he's going to have to follow that McLaren and hope that he can catch him in a mistake there towards the tail end of the race. I believe everyone but now 2 drivers have made their pit stops, as Wallace in the Wizzy Motorsport BMW. That livery is so cool. I don't believe you can see it. I think your awesome thing.
Yeah, my awesome is awful.
I can see the livery. It's a really cool one. Not to brag, but I believe there's only 2 drivers have yet to pit. It is George Stevens in the Toga Aston, and the current leader of the race, Grant Willamot, in the Bentley there, are the last 2 to serve their mandatory stops. So once that's done, then it's just straight race until the end for the last, well, we're on 16 minutes now. The race is floating, actually,
Definitely
surprisingly.
Now, Antonio, I do see Shremovic in chat saying shout out to Ace, his best commentator ever. I didn't pay him to say that. Great to see you, mate. I'll hopefully see you in PLR on Monday.
I could definitely imagine if I looked at your PayPal, there would be a transaction in there.
Hey, oh, she screenshot my PayPal right now, buddy. As well as that, now Lewis Robinson actually looking to, well, try to go for the outside line, go into the first part of Schumacher S's. He is just going to have to tuck behind once again on Feltham, as again, we just witness this loop of him just being able to get, oh, that's not the Schumacher S's, oh, sorry, that is going to be the final chicane. But we do see now Lewis Robinson is going to be able to have to do this loop once again, being able to catch up with Feltham. But he is just going to lose that time once again. It does seem consistency is in Feltham's favour again, but it does seem going through the same path again.
Oh, sorry, ignore me.
What's wrong?
I thought he was going to make a move there, but he didn't. And I preemptively just sort of went, oh.
He's in P1.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, my bad. My brain just didn't take a second to think there. It just let out.
Just blame it on the heat. Blame it on the heat.
I'm going to. As we see, Keir Macy is still ahead of Faztail, but Faztail is right on the heels of him. This battle's been going on for majority of the race now, and it's really good to see. They're both constantly putting in consistent lap times within a couple of tenths of each other. As we see, George Stevens is now pitted, which means it's just up to Willamot now to do his last pit stop, I believe.
There is a 50-second gap now between P1 and P2 as well. So that is going to make it interesting if he's just doing a 1 litre splash and dash. And theoretically, if he gets that pit stop nailed, he will be actually able to stay in the lead of this race. But I'm not going to jinx anything, but Shomovic saying Monday will be crazy wet. And oh yeah, it was apparently flooded the last time I saw the track stars, but it has been changed since.
Yeah. I believe the total pit stop time was just over a minute, actually. So I'm not sure he'll be able to keep the lead of the race. He'll probably be fighting for P3 with Faulkner by the looks of the timing sheets. I'm not too sure exactly where that's going to leave him. PTR fighting for P3, so it's that the overcut might work here. If he can nail the enter into the pit box. Not quite sure how that's going to shake out, but that's going to be very interesting to see.
That is going to be Willamot now, just trying to overlap two cars that are fighting, and this is going to be Lewis Robinson and also Feltham, both of these having to try and get out of the way of the leader at any given time. Now going into turn 2, they're still battling at quite high intensity between each other, but we need to see when the leader gets by, because this is actually crucial for him to get by at a very, very short notice. It does seem he goes through the inside line now of Lewis Robinson, which is going to split up the battle now between them both, but he has lost about a second there to Ramanet behind him, so he will have to see if he's able to gain that back before going into the pit in the next 13 minutes or so.
Yeah, as we saw, Willamot flashing to get by. It's quite a difficult one because you want to be getting by them as quickly as possible. You want to disrupt their battle as little as possible. It's quite the difficult one. It's just letting them by at the right time without losing too much time yourself. As we see that McLaren is letting the Bentley go now. As you say, he's lost maybe about a second in total to Ramune, which will not be ideal, but he is gaining more time on Faulkner, surprisingly, so that may offset itself when it comes to the pit stop. As we see, the BRT of Dakar has got past Brian Ritz in the Porsche. Two BRTs, well, I didn't realize he was a BRT as well, fighting each other. But Dakar looks like he got past pretty comfortably. And there's a three-way battle now for P19, as Wallace, Ganley, and Hayden Sweet are all right in the nearly on top of each other, going to T1. That'll be a fun battle, especially now that everyone's served their pit stops. There's no penalties or nothing applied at the moment by the looks of it either. Not sure if there's any to come from the stewards either. So at the moment it looks like it's just clean. There's going to be some good racing till the end, especially between these three guys. See how that all pans out. As Robinson looks to have got past Feltham again into turn 1. Oh, but Feltham's got the switchback back into turn 2. Going into turn 3 through the arena section, leaving each other just enough room. I'm not sure. Oh, looks like Feltham's just snuck past through at the end of the arena section there. The agility of the McLaren paying dividends there at the end. Robinson's going to have to wait another lap to try that again if he can get close enough.
That was a great battle indeed to see. We're just getting closer to 10 minutes left of this race. At the moment, the top 3 stands is what's going to be Geraint Willamot in P1, but hasn't done his mandatory pit stop just yet. Followed then by Ramanet, who is currently net P1, but could potentially be net P2 if Geraint actually nails his pit stop. Then followed by Faulkner in P3. That is going to round up the top 3 at the moment. Only 2 battles going on at the moment. It's also going to be Feltham and Lewis Robinson, who we have seen for the previous probably 10 or so minutes, as well as Kieran Macy and Airy that we've probably seen for the entire race.
Yeah, as we see that 3-man battle once again, they are all within a couple of tenths of each other going through the Vidal chicane, heading up to Coca-Cola. Hayden Sweet looking for a move, decides against it, and is going to look for a good exit out of this final corner to get a run down onto T1. As we see them all part, Hayden is pretty close to Wallace and the BMW there. There's a bit of a gap to Ganley though. Decided not to make a move there, slightly too far back. But it looks like the 2 BMWs are biding their time to pounce on that McLaren.
Does seem that Hayden Sweet trying to get past him as quickly as he can going into turn 3. Looks like the door's going to be open. Hayden Sweet tried to go for a move there. Isn't going to work for him just yet. Still has to slot himself behind and wait for another given moment as we go into the end few minutes now, going into single digits of single digits of the timer, as we do see Hayden Sweet flashing a tiny bit there. I'm not sure why he's doing that, as we do see Hayden Sweet goes very, very wide there into turn 5. I'm assuming he might have the stream on in the background, so he might have tried to do something cool for stream, but look where he got you.
As we look back on the Robinson battle, Robinson has got Feltham in sector 1 this time. But Feltham is still trying to get past. Oh, he's going down the inside. Oh, they touch, but thankfully no issues there. And Feltham has just squeezed past. Robinson is going to be eager to try and hold that place, but it just looks like Feltham in sector 1 and 2 has the edge there to get past him after a turn 1 overtake. As it looks like Willamot has just come out of the pits in P3.
Oh. So I'm not sure what he's done there. He must have went for tyres.
He's about 7.5 seconds behind. Oh yeah. He'll have to have gone for tyres because you need tyres at both pit stops.
Do you? I thought it was just for one.
Oh no, so it states here in the event 2 mandatory pit stops for fuel and tyres. So I'm assuming that implies you need to take tyres on both.
I see.
Sorry, I maybe didn't explain it properly the first time we discussed it.
I've only realised it's the second time.
But yeah, so that's that's every driver has done their second pit stop, I believe. No one else has one to do. But it'd be interesting if you tried to make a second pit stop now, but
it's not going to be too effective, to say the least.
Yeah, and it looks like the Feltham-Robinson battle may be over, as Feltham has pulled a 1.5 seconds on Robinson and maybe had a little bit of moment in 1 or 2 of the corners and just losing time.
However, what isn't over, sorry to interrupt there, is Eri actually almost looking to go for a little lunge going into the final chicane there before starting what is going to be lap 36 for them. Now going through the final corner, going into start-finish straight. It does seem he loses a tiny bit of time there. Does seem he had to hesitate a tiny bit into the final chicane to actually not cause a collision, which we do respect. But we do see into turn when he does go for a bit of a later lunge, trying to do a switch back there. Is it going to work for him just yet? No, it isn't. In fact, he's going to lose so much time there. So it seems he just has a bit of an oversteer moment, as I do see a yellow flag pop up. Not sure what that was for, as we do see Rich is actually in the pits.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's in
I'm going to go in. Oh, lots of damage there. That is going to be a huge accident there for what is going to be Rich. He went back into the pits. Not sure what happened, but it does seem, I'm not going to risk going back even further, but it does seem he, well, had probably potentially about 4 minutes of damage looking at the back of that and the front of that 992.
Oh, that is unfortunate. Not what you want to see this close to the end of a race. You want to see every driver finish. And finish well, so I hope he will come back out of the pits and continue and just get across the line to finish the race, because you know he's done a good job so far. You may as well take the checkered flag, even if I would imagine he's probably a bit disheartened by that. But taking the checkered flag is always the right thing to do, and he may still have a little bit of a gap to a couple of drivers depending on the amount of damage he's got. As there's a couple of drivers at the back who are a little bit far behind, maybe have accidents of their own that we haven't seen.
Doesn't seem any more huge battles are starting to go on. The only one that is starting to catch my attention a tiny bit is going to be Paul Wallace and Hayden Sweet once again. These two drivers being in that BMW M4, both in the same machinery, so it's going to go down to the setup and the driver confidence around this track to actually be able to either maintain that position of P19 or overtake that, in Hayden's case, for P19 as well.
Yeah, who's going to be the Nico Rosberg in this saga of driving an equal machinery?
That's a really good reference, actually. I was stealing that.
No, I see too many Nico Rosberg memes around that, and anytime anyone says something about equal machinery, that immediately pops into my head. So I actually got a good use for it for once.
Hayden Sweet once again flashing. I'm not sure what his intention of flashing is for. I'm not sure if there's any... Oh, well, he's obviously the owner, so he probably knows the rules better than I do. But I'm not sure why he's flashing, if he's trying to get past Paul Wallace or if he's just trying to catch stream attention, but I'm not sure. If he flashes again in the next 5 seconds, I'm going to assume he's watching stream. So as he actually makes contact, very, very close to actually making contact. Actually, it doesn't seem they made contact. They're going through the final chicane, but is managing to stay in P20 and didn't lose too much time because of that incident. Well, it's not really an incident, but a little bit of a mistake.
Yeah, and he seems to be sticking well to the back of that BMW. Just needs to find a little bit more if he wants to make that move happen in the next, well, we've got, what, 3 laps left, 4.5 minutes?
Depending what the car is.
I think it's this lap and then maybe 2 more, depending on where, what do we call it? Sorry, I forgot your name for a second. Ramune is on the track. He's about 20 seconds from finishing his laps, so we may end up getting another 3 laps, depending on how the timer goes. So it's going to be interesting to see if everyone's has got enough fuel to do that. Mac, Hayden likes to flash and try and put drivers off.
It's
Hopefully
not a bad
not.
idea. It's not. It's not a bad idea, to be fair. I'm not sure how legal it actually is.
If anyone flashes me and we're racing for position, I get very frustrated. And I don't take too well. I personally don't take too kindly to it. So, you know, if you're fighting for position, you know, if you're faster and you want to get by, you know, earn it, is the way I put it. You may be a faster driver, but if you can't if I can defend, you know, it doesn't make a difference.
Mac also agrees with you. He hates it. When it comes to flashing, I'm also the same. I'm a very rage-worthy driver when it comes to people trying to overtake me. That's why I don't usually stream me racing, because let's just say there is some words that does not need to be leaked out on stream, to say the least.
Yeah, I tend to not use. I tend to stay away from using my flash only if someone's been blue flagged and they aren't getting out of the way at all. I'll give it maybe 2 sectors at most, and then if they still haven't got out of the way, I will start flashing them because, you know, they need to. It's the rules. But other than that, I don't like flashing other cars.
Ooh, bit of a moment there for Paul. This is actually going to be Hayden's chance to actually get past. Now, as we also see Ganley getting involved with this battle as well. He has a clean air, so I'm surprised Paul was able to catch up as he go into turn 1 now. There's going to be a bit of a late break show here from Paul Wallace going into turn 1, pinging himself up into P18 there. As we also do now see Ganley actually at a bit of a well, risk of losing now another position going into P20 almost, with Hayden Sweet as well as Charlie saying I'm an aggressive driver. I'm not that aggressive of a driver. I'm just a French driver.
Based on what you said a minute ago, it sounds like you're a bit of an aggressive driver. Don't worry, I get real life road rage.
Driver.
Oh no, yeah, you're definitely an aggressive driver then. No, IRL, like whenever I'm driving, I get road rage. So, you know, it surprisingly doesn't translate to sim racing though.
Yeah, I thought it would, to be honest. That means hopefully this doesn't translate going into real life driving when I drive in about a year or 2.
Yeah, like, so I'm surprisingly not that like aggressive or road ragey in sim racing, unless someone does something like punts me off track. Then I'll get annoyed. But
so Charlie's saying, sorry, it does seem at least you don't lose concentration during the 24 hours of Spa. So a bit of backstory of this. It did seem going into the 24 hours of Spa. This is when I was sleeping. Apparently, Charlie decided to lose concentration, smack it into the wall, and give us, what, 3 minutes of damage after my beautiful stints I drove? So, take of that what you will. That's Charlie.
Yeah. I did something similar on the 24 hour of Nords. We were driving the Porsche 992. I know that was a horrible mistake in the first place. But I was doing the night driving because only 2 of the 4 guys could do the night driving.
Ew. Oh my gosh, sorry to interrupt. There was a huge bit of contact there between Fuller and Findlay there going into turn 5, but luckily they both survived, and Findlay will try to go back at it going into the end of sector 1, going into the Dunlop curves. It doesn't seem he's going to have to be able to do it just yet. He only has about a lap or so to actually get this move done, so he will be a bit impatient with it. As it actually does seem Fuller's actually going to die under pressure a tiny bit there, and unfortunately go wide going into the Dunlop curve, letting Findlay by that.
Sorry to interrupt you, but it looks like Hayden Sweet has picked this moment and he's made it work. He's got past Ganley for P20, that is, but Wallace is a little bit far up the road. And Oh yeah, P19. Sorry, my screen didn't update quick enough. Um, but I'm not sure he will be able to catch Ganley. But
The leader
uh,
finishing the
L-
race there.
Leader has finished the race. Didn't have enough time for another lap. That is another P1 for Axel Ramune and Ethan Faulkner coming across the line for P2. And as we now see,
Grant
Grant
Willamot.
Willamot is rounding out the podium places by smashing that Bentley into the wall in celebration. Or frustration, we don't know. Could be either.
That was
As now,
soon as well.
some of the lap drivers have finished their race as well. As we know, if the lead driver finishes in your lap, you'll just end the race early. Kubica comes home for P4. Wilson, who drove a fantastic race, is going to finish P5. Um, and then it looks like everyone's about to filter over the line. But that was an epic race by Axel Ramien. He absolutely dominated the race from start to finish, from even the quali itself. Um, Absolutely outstanding driving from him, and everyone had a great drive. Uh, Thankfully, not too many incidents. Maybe a couple of minor ones. As it always is in racing, but overall, that was an excellent race and very respectful racing from a lot of the drivers there.
What we do have to wait for now is driver interviews. If anyone wants a driver interview, please hop into the driver waiting room channel, I believe it is, in the Toga Motorsport Discord, and me and Barry will drag you in when it is appropriate. But however, this is a bit of an experiment for me. I'm hoping this is the right race. But what I do have is the highlights from the race as we go into the first ever Toga replay moment. As we do see already, this is going to be the start of the race on board with now what is going to be the McLaren of, I believe it is, I'm actually not sure who that is, but it goes into the first corner. This is one of the people who had, unfortunately, that small little incident throughout the race. Does seem he is able to keep it, and that is where we do see, unfortunately, a bit of the issues that we saw with a few of these cars earlier, and that is going to be the contact between Finley and the number 100 Aston Martin earlier into it, and that is going to be what happened really at the turn one events of it as we get further and further into the field. Then is going to be now that I believe that's Willamot actually getting a bit of pressure there from Luke Wilson behind. Is there anyone in the interview waiting room just yet there?
No one has joined just yet. Maybe give it another minute or two just in case someone joins late. Oh, Sel, thank you for that nice message. Happy to do the commentary. It's been a really good race to commentate. This series in general has been fantastic to commentate. Some amazing racing going on. And I appreciate that comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sal.
Yeah, still no one in the interview room. Maybe after that, no one feels like chatting, which is fair enough.
It's fair. It's been an hour and 20 minutes, so it is quite a hefty race, but we'll give it until 9:35 before we will close the interview waiting room. But obviously, anyone can jump in who has raced. You could be complete last, you could be completely first, you could be leading the championship, you could be one of the mid drivers, so anyone can race. But
Kieran Macy, I'm dead. That was really crazy. Yeah, Kieran, you had a basically an entire race battle there with Airy. That was fantastic to watch. These are banging in the same lap times pretty consistently. But yeah, that was excellent to watch. I'm not surprised you're dead. I would be too. That was excellent racing.
just wait one more minute to see if anyone joins. If not, then we will end the stream. We will give it until 9:35. In terms of the racing here tonight, Barry, how would you find out? Obviously, you've done, I believe, have you done all of the World Tour series?
I didn't do round one.
Oh, yeah, that was
But
Hayden
I
and
did.
Zeta.
Yes, I did. I've done round 2, 3, and 4 now. I will say, out of the 3 I've done, I'm saying it is probably the least entertaining is not the right thing to say, because it's been very entertaining. It's just I think Brands Hatch no, sorry, Paul Ricard was the most entertaining one of the three.
Really?
But the racing from all three races has been absolutely fantastic. The drivers really given it their all. Um, Obviously the race was incredibly entertaining. So saying it was the least entertaining of the three is the wrong. Obviously doesn't do it justice. Um, as I had a great time watching and commentating on it. But the series in general has been amazing. The drivers are fantastic, and they're all very clean drivers too. Obviously, we've had a few incidents, which is expected in racing. You, you can't have every race go incident free, unfortunately.
Mm.
Um, but in general, there's been a very few incidents over the series from what I've seen, which has been really good to see. Nice, respectful driving from pretty much everyone.
Mm. So it doesn't seem anyone has joined the waiting room. We'll just check one more time. Doesn't seem anyone has joined, so we will be wrapping it up here, ladies and gentlemen. Has been a pleasure being back on the Toga commentary team, along with obviously the Irishman Barry himself. Uh, we have been your commentary team here for round 4 here at Nurburgring. I will be back on the mic. I'm not sure if there is nothing tomorrow, but I will be on the mic with a special Charlie Thornton on Sunday for the it's the Formula Racing GT World Challenge. You might have to correct me there, Charlie. But I will see you then. Barry will potentially be on next week. I'm not sure what the schedule's like.
I think I'm on the week 5 for this as well, so you'll get to hear my incredibly amazing Irish accent once again.
Anyway,
um, and I think I'm signing up for a few more as well now that I've got a bit more free time. So yeah, I'll maybe hear my voice a little bit more.
anyway, we have been your commentary team for tonight. We wish you to have a great rest of your weekend, as it's only really just started here in the UK. But we will see you guys later. Have a great rest of your evening. Bye.
Yeah, but goodbye everyone. Thank you very much.